Hello archivers and welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how to set up a character sheet and do some basic note taking. So to get started, we're going to continue where we left off in the last project, except I'm going to add a couple new folders. I'm going to add a compendium folder, and we're going to add a rules, items, and characters. Then I'm also going to add a character sheet that we can work off and extend. So I play a hero system with some friends of mine, and this system is completely homebrewed and perfect for the Mythic archive. It has 3 core stats: might, skill, and speed. And so I'm going to make a character sheet for this game. I'm going to go ahead and start by toggling the editing and then creating a table. Now I can create the table in 2 ways. I can use this table button in the bottom right, or using the command menu, I can hit table here. I'm going to use the table in the bottom right, make 4 columns because I'm going to have a health pool as well, and then 2 rows because I want this horizontally laid out. I'm going to go ahead and do some styling, keep things aligned, type in some labels. And then I'm going to do the cool part, which is add stats to this sheet. What I can do is I can type the pound key, and it will prompt me to make a new stat block. I'm going to go ahead and press enter, and then I can type in the key for the stat block. In this case, I'm going to make the HP pool first. And then now I have a stat block that I can type things into and reference from the event language, which is how you'll get a lot of cool automation out of Mythic Archive and do some crunching and not have to handle so much math while you're GMing. So I'm going to go ahead and add another stat for the HP max. You'll notice the HP stat we added earlier is suggested below. HP max is obviously the max HP of this character. 20 and 20. Do the same for might. I can do it shorthand by typing a stat that doesn't exist, pressing enter. Then I'll set this character's might to 5. Same for skill. I'll set to 3. And same for speed, which I will also set to 3. Now, this isn't all we can do with this character sheet. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an inventory for this character so I can track what items the character is holding. I can do so by actually adding in a component. Now, components are pretty cool. They're actually part of the system configuration, and we have a couple by default in the RPG skeleton we're using. We have inventory and status effects. We're going to add an inventory component. And then now we have this little box here that can actually hold items for this character. Now, I've got a little bit of a problem, which is I actually don't want it to be touching this table. So there's a thing in the tool menu that I can use to get out of this. If I go to the previous line and I just type in a line, I get some options. I can add above, below, or remove the current line I'm on. I'm going to just add below so I have some room to work with. Add another, enter, and then set a heading that I want. Perfect. I'm liking this sheet already. Now, if we have an inventory, we're going to want items. So let's go over to our items folder and make a new item in this folder. I can do so by typing in up here. Let's make a sword. I could also make an item sheet if I want to, but in this case, I'm not going to go very deep in this tutorial series with the systems, so I'm just going to keep it plain and simple. We'll go ahead and type in it's a sword that swings with the user's might. Its damage roll is, and now this is also a cool bit. I'm going to add a damage stat block. Then I'm going to add in the formula I'll want to use for the damage of this item. In this case, I want the sword to swing for 1d6 plus the user's might stat. And there we go. We got an item, and we'll be able to use this damage stat to make some cool automation for attacking. All right, let's jump back to our sheet and go ahead and give it a test. So I can add the item to the inventory by either clicking on it, or I can drag it out of the wiki view right into the inventory. But I've got a problem, and that problem is I'm missing a tag. Now, the RPG skeleton system provides a couple of system mechanics for us to use. One of those is this dice roll here, and another one of those is actually the components that we have in our sheet. The inventory component, if we open it up, requires that there's an item tag. Now, you can add your own tags. In this case, we're going to leave this alone. We're going to make sure the display and actions thing is toggled, because that will be something we use later. We're going to go ahead and confirm that. We'll jump back to our sword, and then we'll go ahead into the sword settings and add the item tag. This lets me add this item into the component that has the tags as well. So I can drag it into right there. Great, now I have a sword in the inventory. Pretty cool. I can preview what it says by clicking on it, and I can add another one. So I have two. I can right click on it to use it, and then you notice there's this D100 roll I showed you earlier briefly when we opened the system settings. And I can actually roll using this sword. I can also use the character by right clicking on it as well. So if I go over here and I right click on it, I'll see this action menu. I can drill through the inventories. I can just make a normal roll, pick a threshold. So it's a D100 system. So I'll roll a D100 and try to get under a 50. Look at that. I actually ended up passing. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so the last thing I want to show you is how to make characters using this sheet as a template. Now, we're going to want to make sure everything's empty and things are reset to their default value. So let's clear out the swords. We can leave, actually, let's set the might and skill and speed all down to 0. And we'll leave 20 as the default HP. One thing I'm going to do is I'm also going to add a character tag, because I know later on the line I'm going to want to have distinctions between what characters can do and what swords and items can do. So I'm going to make sure I have those tagged appropriately. Now, I'm going to finish editing. Then I want to go into the project settings. I want to go to the content creation and go ahead and register a new template, call it character sheet. And then we will select the character sheet as our template default. Type in a pretty display name, let's call it character. And then what this does is it actually lets us go over to the creation menu, go create. And then character appears as something we can select. So if we do that, boom, now we have a new sheet that has been created from the character sheet template. Go ahead and change the name real quick. Let's call it, I don't know, Jumbo. If you want to go through and do the same with a item template, you can feel free to do so. You'll notice that because we tagged it properly, we'll have the old tag here, the character tag. This will be useful because then we won't have to go back and tag everything as characters, and anything we create will be, assigned the appropriate tag. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.